The Great Steppe, millenniums of events, hundreds of nomadic tribes and people. They lived, worked, made discoveries, conquered large tracts of lands, and left us some mysteries. To learn more about it, watch the project called Enigma of the Great Steppe. It was not hard not to notice this guest of St. Petersburg with an exotic look, wearing unusual, luxurious clothes. He stood out among the big delegation, being young, handsome, and talented in music. People around could not understand what he was singing, but the melody did not leave anyone indifferent. The sun was shining, and the shadow fell upon his face. The girl came closer, whether to listen to Q or to look at him. In those days, a lot of people used to visit the girl's father. The whole family was in the spotlight of the Russian Empire. This handsome singer came from its suburbs. When he started singing, she was confused. What is his name? What is this strange instrument? Oh, it is so sunny today. Usually the weather is not so pretty in St. Petersburg. And this bright song matches the atmosphere of the palace and the significant event in the life of the empire. On Wednesday, March 23, 1855, Tsar Alexander II hosted the delegation. There's an evidence that Tatimbet played some of his works on the Dombra. The truth of these claims still needs to be convinced. It is, however, indisputable that the musician was awarded. The hero of this legend was born in the place called Mirzhik. Now it is Kazibekbi district of the Karaganda region. The unusual story about the trip to the Russian Tsar is only a small part of Tatimbet Kazangapov's eventful life. He came from a noble family and he should have become a bey, or judge. The talent of Kuishi, poet and musician, brought to this young man more fame. Is it true that the daughter of Alexander II fell in love with him? What kind of relationships did Tatimbet have with great Kazakhs like Shokan Valekhanov and Abay Kunanbayev?
Мой дедушка был внуком Татимбета, сын Мусатая Шайка.
My grandfather told that Tatimbet was a very handsome man of medium height, well-built, and everything what he used to put on suited him very well.
И что бы он ни одевал, все ему шло. У него были большие...
He had big bright eyes, reddish hair, nice mustache, and he used to trim it every day. He dressed very nicely. When he was going to get on the horse, all people used to come out to watch this.
Одевался очень красиво. И когда садился на лошадь, люди сбегались, смотрели, Татимбет садится.
And when he was riding through an aul or village, not only children but also adults came out of their yurts to look at him. He had a handsome and prideful posture.
Не то что дети, взрослые выходили, смотрели, потому что какая-то красивая, горделивая осанка красивая была у него.
Tatimbet stands out among township governors on this photo. Later, we will talk about how we found this photo. In the meantime, it is necessary to mention that the boy's childhood coincided with the global political changes in the Great Steppe.
Ну, это джунгарское наследие, тогда степи были в очень бедственном положении, и они попросили помощи.
After Jungar invasion, the Great Steppe was in distress and rulers asked for help from the Russian Empire. Nomads wanted to establish diplomatic relationships with Russia, but instead of this, Russian officials came to the steppe and started to divide the steppe into districts and townships. According to the charter, about Siberian Kyrgyz by Speransky. To fulfill the charter, Russian officials began to look for assistance in the steppe. These assistants were Tor people, Khan's successors, and Bis, literate people of Kyrgyz steppes, and everybody respected them. Kazangap Moshek Uli, Tatimbet's father, was among these people.
И вот одним из таких уважаемых людей был как раз Казангап Мушкеулы, отец Татимбета.
Honor to Kazangap is given with jokes. This race is famous from the cradle. Here all have ranks, wealth and business. Wife here is a colonel. Colonel is a child. Colonel is a child, this was said about Tatimbet. Out of 3 sons, Kazangap taught Tatimbet the steppe law. He took him on trips and litigations. He comes from Kara Kisek subtribe of Janshar tribe. Among the representatives of this tribe are Kildibek B, Bekbolat B, Al-Shinbai B, Kazibek B. All are his ancestors.
Когда какие-то споры шли, очень много народу
When there were disputes of different kinds, being a 9 to 10-year-old kid, Tatimbet could raise his hand and express his opinion bravely. He could fairly make conclusions as a 9 to 10-year-old, and all listened to him.
Справедливо решал 9-10-летний мальчик. Конечно, к его голосу все прислушивались.
About persons like Tatimbet, people say he was born with a silver spoon in his mouth. He was Abai's relative. Abai's mother Uljan came from the same tribe as Tatimbet. Maybe Uncle Tatimbet was an example to Abai. Shokan Valikhan's father, Shingiz, and Abai's father, Kunanbai, were Tatimbet's colleagues. Colonel Tatimbet Kazangapov used his personal nobility. He was the ruler of Nurbike Shansharov township of Karkali County from 1842 to 1854. He was not on trial and was not under investigation. In early 1855, a new king ascended on the Russian throne. Representatives of nomads also took part in this event. And it is very curious how Tatimbet was in celebratory delegation. Sabit Mukhanov wrote about this in his book, Flashing Fireball. Actually, the Russian side invited Kunanbai, but he became a religious man and was going to Mecca. So he sent Tatimbet instead of himself. Many bees and township rulers were among members of the delegation, but their names are forgotten. Names of only 2 people are known, Tatimbet and Daulet Kire. Daulet Kire was a representative of West Kazakhstan. He also was Kuishi. Tatimbet gave excellent performance, played Q, got the silver medal and brought it home. Thus, Tatimbet went down in history.
Как-то эта делегация, когда ответила на самые важные вопросы, решила какие-то степные вопросы, проблемы.
When this delegation decided all questions, then discussed some problems, Tatimbet was alone in the big hall. The hall was partially exposed to the sun rays, maybe for some reasons. One of the king's daughters, I do not remember her name now, my grandmother always used to say beautiful Russian name. So one of the daughters came up to him and was holding an umbrella over him. So he could play without hindrance. His smile was so enlightening, so that the king's daughter could not stand and came up to Tatimbet and held the umbrella until he finished playing a cue. Then she had given him this umbrella, because he came back to his homeland with this umbrella. He came to Karkali County.
Она подарила ему, потому что с этим зонтом он приехал к себе сюда, на родину, в Каркарелинский уезд.
And the umbrella was raised high. Sometimes it was kept over him. There was not only an umbrella. It seems that she gave him some jewelry, because when Tatimbet was getting on the horse, he used to raise the edge of his kamzol, outer cloth, and tacked it with some jewelry.
И вот это вот пристегивал каким-то украшением. Это говорили подарок дочери царя.
It is like a ballad across the steppe Traubadur. Something in this ballad is true, umbrella, which was a rare accessory for Kazakhs. And it is not surprising that exactly the umbrella was mentioned very often in the legends about Tatimbet. Tatimbet gave a sign to his friend, and the friend led his pacer nicknamed Bozhorga. Tatimbet began playing Q, called Karga Zhorga, translated as brown pacer, and Bozhorga started walking in front of him in the rhythm of Q, the pace, then slowly, then speeding up the movements. Even the entourage of Governor General was surprised by Tatimbet's skills. Governor General presented Tatimbet his silk umbrella and allowed to tell all their needs and requests. Was Tatimbet a horse trainer? Is it possible? A horse cult researcher, Ahmet Toktabay, says the steppe people manage their horses with, for example, a whistle, subuzgi. There is a possibility that Tatimbet trained his favorite horse to the sounds of the dombra. What are the rumors about Tatimbet's golden fleece? What he sacrificed to win the reputation of Bui? And what he was once arrested for? This is a photo of a huge piece of copper in the shape of bearskin, which was found not far from Tatimbet's homeland. Mine owners presented this unusual finding to Alexander II. Writer Sapargali Begalin mentioned that Tatimbet knew these lands very well and was an indispensable assistant of the first geological expeditions in the studying of Kazakhstan.
Мен енді мына Тәттімбеттің туған немересі Шайх Ақсақалдан домбыра үйренгем.
Tatimbet's grandson, Shaikhi Aksakal, taught me to play the dombra. He told a lot about him. For example, when Tatimbet stayed in any village and after drinking water there, he used to say, "There is gold in this village." With the taste of water, he could define what kind of minerals were underground. Then I asked Shaikhi Aksakal, how did Tatimbet begin gold mining? He answered, "When I was a kid, Tatimbet instructed to slaughter 100 sheep after cutting the sheep's wool. Sheepskin was placed at the river bottom and was pressed down with stones. Skin laid about 2 or 3 days, and then it was distributed to women and children, and they combed the skin. Gold was accumulated on the skin, and this is the way of gold mining." I was there, where the mine was built. It is near the Tunduk River. It was blocked by the dam and the factory was built.
Это я прочитала у Попова. Вот когда стали исследовать казахские степи,
This I read in the book of Popov. When researchers started investigating the Kazakh steppes, there was a suggestion that gold could be found in the depths of these steppes. Then the Tsar government began to provide subsidies for the development of gold mines. Tatimbet volunteered to search for gold.
И, конечно, Татымбет вызвался искать это золото.
Elder people told ethnographer Popov that one elder man met Tatimbet and they washed gold dust. There were grains of gold.
Мой дед встречался с Татымбетом. Вот они ходили на речку, собирали этот песок речной, промывали.
Ethnographer Popov and writer Begalin mentioned that Tatimbet traveled with a group of men and did searches for gold. During these searches, Tatimbet was under the umbrella, which was a gift from the general governor.
Полезные ископаемые, ну и наверху держал зонтик над головой, подарок генерала-губернатора.
With wish to explore and develop gold-bearing placers, to find and arrange mining of other metals in Siberian Kyrgyz lands, I have the honor to request Your Highness to give me prior permission to fulfill these actions. It is interesting that several years earlier, the father of Shokan Valekhanov made the same request on the discovery and development of mining sites. His request was denied. But over time, the laws changed, and Tatimbet's request was accepted favorably by authorities. Local historian Yuri Popov studied the documents and suggested that Tatimbet could not realize his business project. By the way, about the entrepreneurial spirit of Kuishi, there is one amazing incident, which was found in the biography of the famous Kazakh by researcher Talasbek Asemkulov.
His
father, Kazan Kap, was promoted to lieutenant in connection with the rebellion of Kenisari Kasimov. Later, Tatimbet started the service. They were in the service paid by the imperial government and received a salary with banknotes. Researcher Talasbek Asimkulov told that these banknotes were of no need in the steppe. Once Tatimbet boiled water in a samovar by lighting the fire with the banknotes and was punished for this. He was sent to Karakali brig for 3 days. Perhaps this is the only case when Kazakh B violated Russian law. He strictly followed the steppe law. At the time, his father taught him one important lesson.
И человек, который
He was Siri. This means he was the man who sang and wrote songs about love. He traveled everywhere and competed with the girls who played better on the dombra. During these trips, he fell in love with one girl.
Татымбет полюбил девушку очень
But it was decided before that she would marry another man. The groom's side even paid dowry.
человека, и даже был выплачен колым. И когда Татымбет
When Tatembet came to his father and said that he loved her and wanted to marry, his father told, "Son, you know we are very rich and wealthy. Of course we can pay compensation to the aggrieved party for the return of dowry. She will be your bride. You're going to become B. And if you act unfairly now, then how will you judge people? What people will tell about you?"
Если ты сейчас так несправедливо поступишь, как ты будешь потом судить людей? Что о тебе будет говорить народ?
What are the other legends forming the cult of the composer? And what relations do Russian musical classics have? And how was Tatembet's lifetime portrait found? Q. Kozbasar is a play which to some extent is resembling one of Rachmaninoff's iconic works, and in its intermediate part there is a phrase of innkeeper in the opera, Boris Godunov, by Musagorsky, and was repeated twice.
мына жаңағы Борис Годуновтың
Q. Sulkuldak is played in the third act of the opera, Boris Godunov. I heard it with my own ears. They played Q. Sulkuldak at the beginning of the third act.
содан алып қалған. Вот здесь вот точно.
How to explain the strange coincidence of music about which Zatayevich wrote? Some suggest that during the event of the Tsar's coronation, one of Russia's composers heard the play of Kuishi, and the step melody took deep root inside of the composer. But Musagorsky was only 16 at that time, and Rachmaninoff was not born yet. Others explain that Zatayevich grown up listening to European music, and it was easier for him to compare works of Tatembet with familiar sounds. Probably those who think that random analogy confirms the truth of primary sources' unity of cultural and folk music are right.
Европада 17 ғасырда Бетховен, Моцарт.
Such composers as Beethoven, Mozart, and Bach lived in the 17th century in Europe. This period was the Golden Age. Famous Russian composers Tchaikovsky, Glinka also lived in the 18th century. The 19th century was considered as the Golden Age in our Kazakh history. Such Kuishi composers as Kurmangazi, Tatembet, Davletkere placed Kazakh art to new heights. Qs were played before Tatembet. Comparing that play of Qs with Tatembet's works, we can see that previously Kuishi used to tell about the events of people's lives or stories describing animals and birds. Tatembet, with his creativity, told about the events in human life, about relationships between people, and about things of this kind. Melodic motifs of Tatembet's works are very complex and require high-performance skills. A whole school of Tatembet's followers was formed. There is a legend about one composer who started a creative contest with a talented lady and demonstrated an unusual trick. Tatembet played Q and the lady played over him and composed a new one. She was excellent in performance. Tatembet was playing in different ways, but the lady was not giving up. And then he took off his shoes and played the Q with his big toe. According to the step etiquette, the lady could not afford to hike up the dress and show bare legs, so she lost Aitis to Tatembet. Kuishi Murat Abu Ghazi tells that the story has disciplinary sense. It says, "Do not forget the men have more opportunities, and there are many restrictions for women. Meanwhile, Kuishi Bilyal Iskakov bets Tatimbet was able to do more. For example, there is Tatimbet's Q, which is called Ukshi Q, translated as heel Q. He played this Q with the heel. I added this Ukshi Q to my book. I found this Q from the old men in the Kazakh village. It was not just a fictional story. He really played the Q with the heel, and that's why the name of the Q is heel Q. During the contest, Tatimbet used to play with the tip of a blade. Once he competed with the lady Balkiya. Balkiya was playing the dombra very skillfully, and then Tatimbet took a blade and began to play it with the tip of his blade. But Balkiya failed. She broke a string. Just imagine what a skillful play. The blade is very sharp, but Tatimbet managed to play on the dombra with it. Even showbiz stars would envy the fame and adoration which the stepman was surrounded by. There is a legend about how Tatimbet met Q singer. Her name was Malkara. She was the sister of Abai's mother, that is Uljan's sister. During the contest with Malkara, she fell in love with Tatimbet. She secretly put a nail into the hoof of Tatimbet's horse so that he could not leave the village. The horse came up lame and Tatimbet stayed one more day. And he stayed there as long as it was needed for the horse's leg to heal. This shows what a special person Tatimbet was. Thanks to the researchers, we have an idea about how charismatic Tatimbet looked. You have probably seen this group photo. There is a photo of the delegation which visited St. Petersburg. The township ruler of the Arka, Okshkar, was among the delegation who went to St. Petersburg. He was dressed in a chapan, or outer cloth, but there were no owl feathers on his head, so many misidentified him as Tatimbet. Later, academician Alke Margulan went to the archives in St. Petersburg. There he found the photo, and it was clearly written which one of the delegates was Tatimbet. Here is the photo, where he is in a fur hat. Here on the group photo, he is standing to the side. Tatimbet died in the prime of life. He fell gravely ill, and according to different reports, he died at the age of 45 to 47. People's favorite man hardly could imagine how their origin affected his descendants. Some of them were under repression. The biography of Kuishi was corrected, keeping the nobility of Tatimbet's tribe in secret.
Вот мой дедушка, вот лоб, знаете, глаза.
This is my grandfather. His forehead, eyes, ears. This is my grandfather, Shaikhi Musatayev. His son, Samat, my father. My grandfather used to say that Samat looks like the grandfather Tatimbet because he had big eyes and was very brave and could quickly take some actions. He said that only Tatimbet used to do so. Fortunately, we are gradually founding and learning Tatimbet's cues. The image of an extraordinary person, B, diplomat, poet, and musician continues to live, and further details appear in folk mythology. Is it true or not? But the legend about how the stepman, Siri, conquered the heart of the Russian Tsar's daughter is still alive to this day. This and other stories about the wise bee, charismatic Kuishi, shows how much people loved him and were proud of the great steppe native Tatimbet.